Hi everybody, I'm Nate Powell. I'm basically like a normal guy, right? I grew up in Spokane. I played soccer when I was a kid. I went to Lewis and Clark High School. I wrestled there through high school. 2 weeks after graduation, I joined the Marine Corps, went to boot camp, got trained in aviation ordnance, and then was a martial arts instructor as well. Stationed in Yuma, Arizona, took a couple of deployments, and I got out in 2009. After that, I went to ASU for a couple of years, met my wife down there. 2012, I got hired in Spokane at the fire department. So for the past 14 years, I've been a union fireman. So, new dad, I have a 2-year-old at home, I'm a veteran, I'm a union firefighter, okay?
What kind of vet?
Marine Corps vet, yeah. Air Wing, so. So there is a couple things about me that are not normal. I'm not an old rich lawyer, but I'm exploring this run for Congress. Right? Congress is a whole bunch of old people. The average age is 58. A whole bunch of rich people. The average net worth is over $1 million. And it's lawyers, corporate executives, and career politicians. Not people like us. The other thing is I'm under 40 and I own a home. Thanks to a good union job and a VA loan, I was able to get in, buy a home before COVID. Private equity firms like BlackRock skyrocketed the home prices, making it unaffordable for people to get into the market. I feel like I was scrambling onto that last plane coming out of Afghanistan to get into the market before it is what it is now. I wouldn't be able to buy the home that I live in now if I was just entering the market. And so, how did we get here? This is how I think we got here. Billionaires, corporate interests, bought up both political parties, they bought our government, sent our jobs overseas, and they traded us cheap TVs for expensive houses and unaffordable healthcare. I see people struggling every day at work, living on the streets. They use the emergency room as their primary healthcare because they can't afford insurance. I stood in the living room with a guy having a heart attack, would not take an ambulance to the hospital because he couldn't afford the bill. So, get my notes here.
Sorry, I'm holding you for it.
Yeah, I probably should.
Yeah, whatever makes you comfy, man.
So the billionaires, the wealthy interests, they've rewritten the rules to benefit themselves, entrench themselves at the top. They control us by stifling small businesses, and they control the media, which controls how we think. 6 corporations own 90% of the media we consume. The top 1% of people have 30% of the wealth in this country. So we have a country rife with instability and uncertainty. The rich are able to insulate themselves from the world they created with their wealth, and we are left to deal with the consequences of their actions. I feel like poverty is the root cause of a lot of these problems that our society is dealing with. We are in the richest country in the world. There's 900 billionaires, and there's 36 million people who can't afford the basic necessities of life. This inequality drives disorder within the system. What I fear is that our already broken system is going to get much worse. As AI and robotics replace human labor, the one thing that normal working people have to bargain with, our labor, is going to reduce in value. The one chip that we have left is losing value every day. As long as the billionaires need us to pour their coffee, harvest their food, build their houses, and treat their sickness, then we have power. But unless we change something now, that power is going away. I've seen what happens when people lose their economic value. I've seen them dying on the streets. And I'm closer to being one of those people than I am to having $1 billion. But here in Eastern Washington, when we see a problem, we don't look for somebody else to blame. We stand up, and we look to do the work to fix these problems. And that's why I'm exploring this run for Congress. I've seen the problems, and I'm standing up to fix them. I can't do it alone. It's gonna take all of us to fight against these billionaires, take our system back from them, wrestle control of our government so that it works for working people like us. We still have a chance, but I can't do it alone.
Nobody can.
We need regular working people to be willing to stand up and fight. We can take this country back. It's our last chance. We're in a crisis. We can see ourselves through it, but only together. And then, I don't know if you have programming. I've been talking about myself a ton lately, and I'd like to listen a little bit. I know what I think the problems are. I'd like to hear what you guys think the problems are, and then obviously I'll open up to questions. But I'd like to move into the listening tour phase of my budgeting campaign here.
I'd like to suggest that we go on ahead and just open up a few questions first, and that'll kind of spark a little.
I'm gonna take a seat. I'll sit and grab a coffee, grab a seat, and grab a notebook.
Good.
Telling Cynthia, I got a 2-year-old at home. She's in daycare, so I was sick nonstop for about 1.5 years. So I should have the immune system to deal with it now.
Okay, so who has questions? Go.
I just retired from the city. I was a member of Local 270 for 20 years, so.
Yeah, good.
Appreciate it.
Thank you. Yeah,
Your
union
service to the city too, yeah.
union work.
Yeah.
I mean, it's the
Union
difference
jobs.
between work and good work.
Exactly. I have one question that you mentioned something about, people couldn't be transported to the hospital because they couldn't afford it.
Yeah.
Being that you're in the fire department, I don't know I remember when Medic One started in Seattle, I don't know if they still do this, but they self-transported.
Yeah. Yeah.
Is there any chance of bringing that back to Spokane, or having to sub that service out to a
Yeah.
for-profit ambulance service?
District 9, north of town, they just started to self-transport. The way the laws are with the system, and I'm not an expert on this, but you have to charge for transport. I don't know if that's true anymore, because it doesn't sound like District 9 is doing it. I think it would be a fantastic service for the community. As with all things, it costs money. The city's in a budget crisis, so the city makes money by subbing out to AMR the transport. But it also, we pay for it. We pay for it either way. As they sub out, we either pay for the ambulance bill or we pay higher taxes to provide transport. I think it would be a great service for the city for the fire department to transport. And we're bringing on single role medics. It's a position we haven't had before, to run a behavioral health unit, and so that kind of opens the door to having some single role medics that are not firefighter medics, who cost a little bit more. So we'll hopefully, set the stage to have transport in the city.
How did that come about?
The single role medics.
Yeah.
We have ran, call it a pilot program, but we've been running it for about 3 years. Called a BRU, Behavioral Health Unit, Behavioral Response Unit. It's a mental health professional and a paramedic driving around the city to deal with the mental health crisis that we are dealing with. I think it's a real problem. The access to healthcare, mental health care as well, is part of the cause, you know. It's the poverty creates the self-medication with fentanyl, and it's rough out there. The BRU runs around, tries to help those people, get them into treatment right away. Donald Trump has been pretty terrible for us, lies constantly, but I do think he's okay at identifying the right problem. He just has a dog shit solution for it, but he talked about bringing mental facilities back, mental institutions back. I think we need a place for these people to go.
Let's sign him up.
Yeah, I don't think he's gonna follow through on that, but I think that could be a solution to some of the mental health problems that we have. It's untreated mental health issues, yeah.
Part of the problem with our healthcare system is affordability, right? We're looking at wanting to have healthcare for all, that's gonna take a long time to get there. Affordability is one of the issues. I rarely see our politicians going after the healthcare corporations or the insurance companies. For instance, a year ago, my son had a cold at Christmas. Go to urgent care where they tell you to go to urgent care instead of the emergency room because it's cheaper.
Yeah.
Takes 3 tests, was there for less than 30 minutes, $800. Okay? This is average. And when you talk to them, they're like, well,
Yeah.
it's out of our hands, it's the code, it's the billing code.
Yep.
When we need politicians to stand up and say, billing codes are bullshit, we know where the profits are going,
Yeah.
and to start standing up for that. How do you feel about addressing that issue?
My team told me not to say this because it does not play well with the more conservative crowd, but I'm a Medicare for all guy.
Universal.
I think I think everybody deserves health care, and as I was saying, we pay for it one way or the other. We either pay for it through higher taxes, or we pay for it through higher insurance premiums. Those are coming. Those higher insurance premiums.
Next week.
I think it would be cheaper and more efficient to give everybody health care. The city pays over $20,000 a year for health care. Right? That cost could get rolled in. I'll pay a little bit higher taxes so that everybody can have health care. And my wife's health care, she isn't actually on this plan because she's on my health care, which is better. But her insurance premium was going up 25% this year. So
And where are those profits going, though, right?
Mhm.
yeah, straight to that third party standing between us and our doctors. That's where it's going.
And advertising from October until December.
Yeah, food, water, shelter, healthcare, these basic needs that people have. If the government can't create the environment for the people to access these things, it should just provide them.
Well, the city's union healthcare costs are going down. I had talked to my ex.
Yeah, so
Roommates and-
my wife works in civil service, which is M&P,
Yeah.
but their contract is based off 270's contract, and they're going up 25%. They're splitting it 12.5 and 12.5 with the city and the individuals. I mean, and that's good union healthcare, good union job, and they're still going up 12.5%. I've heard some crazy numbers. Loss of these ACA subsidies, people going up 50, 100% in their insurance premiums. That's unaffordable. I do jiu-jitsu over at Newborn. The coach there has talked to him and his wife. They said they're on the market, they're on the insurance market. If the insurance premiums go up as high as they are saying that they're gonna go up, they just won't have health care anymore, because they can't afford it. Small business owner, successful gym, they make decent money at running the gym, and they can't afford health care, which means they can't do jiu-jitsu, right? I think universal healthcare would be good for workers. It would make it so workers weren't tied to their job. They would have more mobility through the system. I think it would be good for small businesses. I think small businesses would be able to compete on wages, hours, and working conditions instead of on healthcare. I think it would be good for a lot of people. Not at the insurance companies, but.
I'm gonna ask a couple of questions here.
Yeah.
Do you support expanding the Supreme Court?
We gotta do something, right?
Yeah.
There's a ton of issues. I think that's what I was telling you earlier. It's part of Trump's strategy is to hit us with so many things that we don't know which one to deal with. And he's able to do that because we have an executive branch who does whatever the hell they want, a Supreme Court who lets them do it, and we have a Congress who refuses to exercise their co-equalness, their co-equal branch, their power. They're abdicating their power so the executive branch can do whatever the heck they want. And we have to find solutions. I don't love the idea of having to expand the Supreme Court, but that seems like a captured system to me.
Yeah. Also, I got it here. Do you support the attacks on the small Venezuelan boats?
I almost spit out my coffee. It's ridiculous. Drugs are not explosives. We have a drug problem in this country. I don't think it's a supply issue. People don't do drugs because there's a whole bunch of drugs around. People do drugs because they're dealing with problems, right? They're self-medicating. I think most problematic drug use is self-medication. I see people doing fentanyl in the street, right? They're not doing fentanyl just because there's a bunch of fentanyl around. They're doing fentanyl because they have untreated mental health issues. They have trauma from their life and childhood. They're freezing to death overnight. The only way they can have some reprieve is to do fentanyl. I don't do fentanyl because my life's pretty good. I don't think it's a supply issue. I don't think we need to be using the military to make police actions on drug smugglers, especially cocaine ones.
Yeah, firefighters local 29 has been pretty involved in politics over the years.
Yeah,
How much
that's right.
support are they offering to you?
A ton, yeah. They're my only endorsement so far. As I said, so I am in the exploratory phase. I have not filed to run yet. That's for legal reasons. I gotta say that, right? But they have committed to support me when we launch, and I'm working hand in hand with my union president. So how I kind of came to this position is through the first Trump administration, things were bad, but there was a whole bunch of reasonable people around him holding him back from his worst impulses. And so I felt okay, and I continued on with my life. I've always paid attention to politics and union issues, but I had a bunch of people doing good work, and things were not that bad. Second Trump administration starts to come around, and I knew it was gonna be bad, and it has been worse faster than I could have imagined. Broke down in my closet about it, tried to bury my head in the sand and stop reading the news. None of that was working for me, so I decided I needed to get involved. I needed to do some work, and so I went to the union. I started doing some union work. It's where politics is closest to me. Knocked doors for a city council member. I got on a committee for the union. A guy approached me before that committee meeting and asked me if I ever thought about running for Congress. Or he actually said, "Do you ever think about getting into politics?" And I said, "Yeah, maybe after I'm retired I could run for city council." Yeah, if everything went great, I could potentially be the mayor in the future. He goes, well, did you hear about this thing I was doing? Somebody else that was in the position I'm in. Hear about this thing I'm doing? Said I can't do it. I got deployment orders next year. I won't be able to campaign, but your name came up on this list. I got recruited by a national organization that runs independent candidates. So they said, you have the type of resume we're looking for. We saw you donated to Bernie Sanders, and are you open to this? And you know, I have stood up and wanted to do work. I have a 2-year-old. I think if we keep on going the way we are going, this country is going to be terrible, and I won't feel comfortable letting her, you know, I'm gonna die one day. She's gonna be out there by herself. I want
Playing with the bears.
Yeah, with the bears. I want to make the future that she can grow up in, and I can feel comfortable having her grow up into. And so this congressional run is me trying to put my thumb on the future.
This summer, 9 individuals were charged with conspiracy to impede or injure officers
Yeah.
at a federal protest of ICE. This puts a chilling effect on the First Amendment. What are your views on how we have mass federal agents that are going around with impunity?
Yeah.
And we have no way to control this or hold anybody accountable. If you were to be elected, how would you approach this to get our rights back to control our government?
So, let's start off with, I do not love that mass federal agents are on the street.
It's bullshit.
The masks bother me more than the federal agents. I don't want to face this government. As far as what I would do, I do think that, you know, they're federal agents, they have a right to do their job. I think part of protesting is taking the consequences of those actions. You know, you get charged with something. It's the judicial system that has been co-opted, as we talked about, from the Supreme Court on down. That's where the fear is, that you can't express your First Amendment right, and now you have to fear for actual danger. If I had any type of control on it, it would be for sure a masks off thing. I don't have a great answer for how I do that, because I do think those federal agents, you know, they have a right to enforce the law. They're doing it about the grossest way you can do it. I don't think it's super effective. I think it's designed to make us afraid. But no, I don't have a great answer for you.
I appreciate that.
For how I fix that.
Thank you for coming. We've already had one other candidate for Congress in this group a couple weeks ago, who also is a veteran. And you've got Kamala Conroy, who is the Democratic establishment choice.
Yes.
Several of us in this group are members of another group, this coffee group, and we've had her in a couple times
Okay.
to talk to us. So I appreciate you putting yourself out there. My name's George Taylor. I'm the president of Veterans for Peace in Spokane. Okay, we don't endorse any candidates. We're a 501c3. We've had a lot of experience in local politics, with the VA, and we've got a lot of, how should I say, ideas in our group. I really like your analysis of what's going on, but I'm not real crazy about your solution. Your analysis is great. When I was your age, I was nowhere near your awareness of what's going on, because I was concerned about my own life and my own family. I raised 2 young kids. There is light at the end of the tunnel for your growth. But my concern is this. You have chosen to put yourself out there for a possible Democratic primary run, right? or independent?
Yeah, I'm running as an independent.
You're running
doing
as an
everybody.
independent.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah,
Okay,
you're
and
doing
you-
everybody.
I'm not gonna tell you how to run your campaign.
Okay.
What I'm saying is, there have been other independent candidates in this 5th Congressional District. None of them did very well, possibly 15,000 votes.
Yeah.
So I'm wondering if your choice of how to go up against, how to resist this very correct analysis is effective. In other words, why do you believe that being a member of Congress is going to be an effective resistance to these problems that you very well have outlined?
So it goes back to, I think Congress has abdicated its power. You know, it's controlled by Republicans who are controlled by Trump, and they have not flexed the muscle that the Constitution gives them. And so if we can flip Congress to be less Trump aligned, then I think we will be able to, you know, hold him back from his worst impulses. I think Baumgartner specifically, I read his, I don't know him, I've never met him, but I read his Wikipedia page. It seems like he was a guy who really cared about serving his community, and then he got into Republican politics, and now he has to vote the party line. And which is not good for the people in Eastern Washington. As far as why I'm running as an independent, I think that's where my politics are personally. I feel abandoned by the Democratic Party. I'm a labor first guy. As I was saying, I feel like both of the political parties have been captured by corporate interests. They're chasing the money, and I've been in politics for about 2-3 months now, and it is as gross as everybody thinks it is. It's probably grosser. I talk a lot with my team about money. I hate it. But I think there's a lane right now. I think a lot of people are frustrated with both of the parties. There's a lane in the middle for, you know, centrist moderates, moderate liberals, moderate conservatives, to be pro-labor. If there was a Labor Party, I'd be part of it. But there's not, so I'm running as an independent. I'm pretty progressive on a lot of these fiscal issues. I think the Democrats have abandoned labor in favor of a set of cultural issues that I'm not all the way there with. I caucused for Bernie back in 2016. I think him getting pushed right out by the establishment was the beginning of the Democrats' challenging time in politics since then. You know, I want to not be beholden to somebody above me telling me how to vote, and I get compromise, I totally get it, and I get solidarity with the Democrats.
So you're running to win?
Yeah,
You're not
absolutely.
running to have a platform to get some of your ideas out there?
No, I'm honestly, I'm obviously gonna to win, right? I'm gonna get in there, I'm gonna do 1, maybe 2 terms, and get out of there. I'd like to see us through this crisis. I do think we're in a crisis. Our country is in crisis right now.
Mm-hmm.
If we can get through it, there's a golden arrow on the other side of there. If we can get through it, I think get in 26, see us through 28, get past this Trump era into a place where I'm not needed anymore. This job sucks. I have a good union job. I got a 2-year-old at home. I'm not doing this because this job is better than my job. I have to be in DC half the time. That sucks. I wouldn't even make more money over there, especially with my kind of politics, right? Billionaires are gonna hate me. But this is an investment in the future for my kid.
You talked about Baumgartner caving to the party line.
Yeah.
What would prevent you from doing that?
Well, I don't have a party line, right?
But you're gonna have to, there's there's gonna be two big parties in there pushing their
Yeah.
ideas, and they're gonna be pulling back and forth.
Yeah.
How are you gonna combat saying, you know what, I can't do anymore, I'm gonna go along with this guy, or I'm gonna go along with this guy?
So I don't think there's a problem with compromise. I love figuring out, you know, I think a lot of issues are two valid positions competing with each other. They can't both be true. I like to find the balance in there. But also, I'm not interested in being a career politician. So I don't have to follow the party line to stay in politics and be able to move up the ranks. I have a job here, been at the fire department for 14 years. I got a pension and my family's here. I'm doing this because I think we're going the wrong direction and I want to have some say in it. So when we get through this crisis and kid reads the history books and says, "What'd you do?" I said, "I did everything I could."
And I ask that because we've seen Fetterman and things like that, it's like,
Yeah.
you know, what the hell happens, you know?
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, and that's, you know, part of the reason I'm running as independent. And it partially, I think if I was, like I said, I think I signed up to be a Democrat so I could caucus for Bernie back in 2016, and they've been, Democratic's National Committee has been sending me stuff ever since.
You have to choose one when you go in, if you win, you have to choose one to caucus with.
Yeah, I don't think the current Republican Party has much of a shot. If, you know, they wanna change all their politics and come back to working people, maybe. That's a joke,
I just
right?
wanna make sure that you know you have to pick a horse to get across the street.
Yeah, and I'll pick the team that is gonna be for working people. If it's anybody, it's the Democrats. Just been the last 50 years when they took all that corporate money and sent our jobs overseas that they've been a problem.
Yeah, I guess more of a comment than a question. I think that's part of the problem. The two-party system, I think, is why we are where we are. And I think nudging the center a little bit to the left isn't going to make the changes our country needs. I think the removal of Trump from that office is not going to end Trumpism. The crisis is one of ideology. We really need some way to leverage this political system out of the control of the Republicans and the Democratic Party. I don't have a problem with Republicans in particular as an individual or Democrats either, but I don't think either one of those parties, like you said, they're captive.
Yeah.
So there's got to be some kind of a triangulation rather than this binary back and forth, people choosing between the lesser of two evils. There's more people eligible to vote in presidential elections than have voted in the last, 4 or 5. So if those people were engaged, you know, we could be in a different place. If Bernie Sanders had continued, instead of seeking the Democratic nomination with this political revolution that he talked about, he didn't have a lot of big money.
Yeah.
Those were all small grassroots, so it can be done. But I feel like he threw that opportunity away. I think you're right, we are in a moment. But yeah, what what are we gonna do to get more of a coalition of voices instead of this binary tribalism of red and blue and conservative and liberal? If we can't get past that, this crisis will never end.
I agree with you. I think the lane for independence is starting to open as people have become so frustrated with the parties. There is a movement, a national movement to give people like me, working people, independence into Congress to be this center that can kind of sway things. The challenge is the money in politics. It costs a ton of money. The numbers I'm hearing about what it's going to cost to run this campaign are wild. They tell me it's going to cost $2 million to run to the primary, and it's going to cost more than that in the general. And so the laws need to change, and we need to get money out of politics to have a chance to get out of this two-party system. They bring so much infrastructure, money, and power. That's I think why Bernie had to, run as a Democrat, because that's where all the money, that's where all the infrastructure is. My whole team right now is basically, Democratic Party people, because if you get into politics, if you want to be in the system, you kind of have to choose a side. That's where all the people, money, resources are at. But also people are growing frustrated with it. Crisis creates an opportunity for change, and maybe we're right there. Maybe we're.
Have you heard any good plans for, because people have been saying, we gotta get money out of politics forever. It's corrupted every branch of our federal government, and it continues to corrupt, I think, on state levels, local levels too. But, yeah, have you heard any good plans for how do you actually get public interest back in public policy rather than private?
Change the Supreme Court.
That's one solution.
Yeah.
Have you heard any others?
The only reasonable solution I've heard is this central independent caucus to try, because it takes 60% or to get anything through, right? So maybe we can convince the Democrats to join with this independent caucus to try and reduce the money. I would like to see publicly funded elections.
For sure.
It's expensive. I have a regular job, and I wouldn't be able to do this if there wasn't a national independent organization helping me out. And normal people can't. That's why it's all old rich lawyers.
Could you name that national organization?
Yeah, they're called the independent. What is it? It's called ICI, Independent Candidate Initiative.
First time I heard it.
Yeah, they're very quiet about it.
You mentioned, of the $2 million you're told you need,
Yeah,
how much of that is going to television and radio?
most of it they told me.
That's the scandal. We
Yeah.
license wavelengths for a song to networks and radio stations, and they turn around and hold our democracy for ransom.
I totally
Pay us
agree
if
with
you
you.
want to run the system. That's the scandal. That's got to end.
Yeah,
I
it's
don't hear anybody talking about that.
it's the the television media, the social media, controlling how we think, getting us to fight each other.
They should have to give an equal amount of time to all viable candidates or nothing.
Yeah.
By law, they do have to do that. Television networks, media networks have to have.
For nothing?
Yeah, at least when I was in broadcasting, it was.
It's supposed to be so.
Yeah, they're supposed to allow a certain percentage to politicians equal.
That's if they give them a platform. It's not how much money can you pay for in ads. Different
yeah.
kind of
Because you
business.
have to pay to have the ads build, the
That's right.
photos, the production of the video.
Right.
At least
Yeah.
that's where that cost starts building up.
That's right.
Yeah, they told me most of my money goes to the media company.
Is this
Yeah.
independent group gonna give you any money?
Yeah, so there's and I'm learning all this in whirlwind pace. There's two sides to the money. There's the hard side, that's the actual donations to the campaign, and then there's the soft side, that's the Citizens United independent expenditure stuff, and they have some soft side money that they're putting into it and helping get started. A lot of volunteers right now. I don't have any money. I haven't taken a single donation yet because you need a treasurer, and we just got one this week to take donations, and so basically everybody has been working for free. It is a professional campaign that we're building. I would not have been on board if it was not this organization that approached me and recruited me for it. It's the same organization behind a guy named Dan Osborne in Nebraska. And so they have experience taking normal working class guys and turning them into candidates.
He's a mechanic, right?
Yeah, he's the mechanic. down in Nebraska.
Yeah.
And so I got a consultant. Most of the people are from the west side because that's where a lot of the political talent is. So I got a consultant from the west side, got a campaign manager from the west side, working with some local organizations here. Just brought on a fundraiser from the west side. And go ahead.
How much is your team studying and considering reproducing what Clark Downey did in New York?
Not a ton. I think that you need to have the right politician for every place you're running, right? And I don't think Mamdani's politics play well in Eastern Washington.
I didn't mean to imply what he was saying, but the construct of the system that he set up.
Right.
My issue with politics in general is we train him to be a politician, right? And now he's gonna help you be a politician. What can he bring to you is whatever we told him. So those leader people that you're bringing from the west side are in the same place that I just put him in. If I know how to do it, cause I helped so-and-so do it in the past.
Yeah.
Versus, what else is there out there that's going to meet the needs of the people that I wanna represent? And how else can we put it that it'll make sense to them? The small percentage that was said over here, that the number of people that are actually voting, why don't they? Right? That's part of what Bogdani's people started to ask. Right? And so then they changed what we taught him and started doing what the people actually listened to and wanted to hear. So that's my question about your team.
So as far as like the structure of the campaign, I'm taking a lot of their advice on how to run a campaign. They're political professionals, I'm just a fireman. They have not at all tried to influence my policy and my perspectives on things, if that's kind of, is that what you're getting at?
No, the system.
No,
The system.
the
Right.
structure.
You said that you were trained by the Marines to do something specific.
Yeah.
Okay. Why? Because what they needed from you was for you to be able to understand and do based on things that they were already aware of may happen. Right?
Okay.
They were not giving you things for you to use just because they were a professional politician. I helped build political candidates. So you get the difference in what I'm offering. If I'm a football coach, I gotta know what the other team does. So I can look at what my team needs to be able to do to compete against them. Right? I don't keep repeating the same things that they are doing. Right? I can put a lot of money in television, right? Because that's what I've been told I'm supposed to do. Or I can change how I'm contacting those people
Okay,
that
I think
want
I'm tracking now.
to represent.
As far as the spending money on television, I don't think we're at that part of the campaign yet to kind of decide where our money is going. But my vision for how we win this election is honestly not spend a bunch of money on TV. I'm not gonna have enough money to outspend Baumgartner. He already has $500,000. What I am gonna be able to do is go into the union halls and talk to union guys, talk to labor guys, and try and get them. I'm gonna need people knocking doors, talking to their friends. I've said it a bunch of times, because that's where I'm at, is I'm a labor guy. I really believe in organized labor as the tip of the spear, but we're gonna have to activate working people. My vision for how we win this campaign is we activate working people to talk to their friends and knock on doors. The media piece is just to hold the line. That's the challenge with the system that we're in, is you need enough money to hold the line on messaging and get your name out there. But for me to win, I'm gonna need to convince people that I have better solutions to their problems and actually care about them compared to Baumgartner. And I'm gonna need to get people out on their feet doing work. That's what I mean when I say I can't do this alone. We can only do it together. I need people talking to their friends, knocking on doors, getting out there, putting in work, because I'm not gonna outspend, probably won't outspend the Democrat.
What Mamdani succeeded in doing was create enough buzz amongst people who don't think about it and don't normally vote.
Right.
That created the publicity he needed.
Yeah, and you know, that's, I think he really leveraged social media. He was fantastic on social media.
He was good about face-to-face with people, too.
And he got young people involved by being on TikTok and doing all kinds of things to get the younger people behind him too on social media.
And I for sure have thought about social media. I'm not on social media. I think that stuff is toxic. But I will have somebody on social media.
It's toxic for children.
I think it was toxic for me. I've been off Facebook and all that stuff for about 5 years. I knew it was manipulating me, making me angry constantly. It is an incredibly valuable communication tool, and we'll be on it. We'll be on all the platforms. But I think a little bit of that is also, you gotta have the campaign for the candidate. And I'm not Mamdani.
Not many are.
How do you get the young people to start voting, though? What's your vision for that?
I think it's the message. I'm very specifically trying to make things more affordable and create a better future where they can succeed. Even people I work with who are doing pretty good have removed themselves from the system. They think it's not winnable. I think it is. I think we can do work and get out of the crisis we're in. Activating those young people, we have to get in front of them, talk to them, and convince them that they can do work and make a change. I was a wrestling coach for 10 years at the high school, and I believe in them. I believe in the youth. They have a tough road, right? They've been dealt a pretty terrible hand. But they're smart kids, they're activated, they pay attention. And as long as they hear the message, I think we can get them on board.
So, how do you include then all the things that are in Project 2025? I mean, seriously, if you just go labor, how can you, and then say this is just a crisis? To me, this is their lifelong thing that they want to continue trumping up.
6 years.
How are you going to attack that? And I literally mean attack, because I think that's what we have to do. However we can do it, legally.
Right. I think we have to get power back first, right? You can't do anything without power.
Right.
So we gotta be able to flip Congress. I think in 28, the idea of Republicans elected again is slim and none, unless they do some illegal stuff again.
Right, so in 2020, Project 2025, there's so many areas that aren't just about labor, or, you know, that it's all affects labor, you know, but there's so many other areas that it's going after. And people that it's affecting. I guess if you just make it a labor movement for you and the people that wanna, that's what it feels like to me that you're saying. If you don't then figure out how I'm going to incorporate the people that are affected by Project 2025, how are you going to incorporate that if you just talk labor?
So I think labor is pretty much everybody who works with their money, right? So those smaller groups affected by Project 2025, I think fall under labor. I think it's the start of creating a system where people can work hard and succeed. I don't know what specific groups you were talking about within Project 2025 that have been attacked that we're trying to.
Anybody who's not white Christian male. That's what
Right.
Project
Yeah.
2025 is about.
Anybody that's not.
I believe in, labor rights for all. I think everybody deserves dignity. I don't think it really matters if you're white or brown, we deserve the same rights and chances to succeed. Part of my problem with the Democratic establishment is that they focused on identity politics, which I see as a way to divide this greater organization of labor. I think if we all see each other for what we have in common, we work for our money, it will be beneficial for everybody, and I'm working for all those people. Those minority groups still work for their money, and so I'm still gonna be fighting for them.
And you see, at least for me, I see, and I think a lot of people see, a rise in white Christian nationalism, and at the federal level especially right now. And we're seeing civil rights being eroded, and we're seeing racism being normalized. How do you see that? And what are your plans to fight that, if you do plan to fight that?
Well, I think we have the protected classes. I think the laws are already in place, and if we enforce those, we can protect those people. I think if we make things better for everyone, a rising tide raises all boats. As I said, I think splitting us off into minority groups and how we're all different adds to the divisiveness, splits us apart. There is a difference between people that I care about, and it's people who live off their brokerage accounts and people who work for their money. Those people living off their brokerage accounts are doing really great, and people who work for their money are doing pretty poorly, and things are getting worse. And I'm bringing a message of solidarity and togetherness, and I don't think we should split people based on the color of their skin or their creed, veteran status, right? I'm for all people who work for their money.
And does that carry into, such as medical rights, such as abortion, transgender care, things like that?
Yeah, I'm a pro-choice guy. I think that's a healthcare decision between a woman or a doctor. Transgender rights, the only place that I'm a little iffy on is trans women in sports. I think some of the
All 10 of them?
yeah, well, it's a small group of trans women in girls sports, but that's a fairness issue for me. I've got a daughter. I coached in the wrestling room. There's a difference between boys and girls.
One of my girl dancers wrestled,
Yeah.
and she beat the shit out of those boys.
And that's true.
Yeah.
It can happen, but it's not the norm, and I think girls deserve a chance. And I have also I've got beat up by girls. Okay, I'm not saying girls aren't tough. I'm just saying on average, boys are better at sports. I don't think that trans people should be accosted or discriminated against. They should be able to use the bathroom that they want to use, and we should call them what they want to be called. But the girls in sports is just a position that I don't hold. And then some of the permanent stuff for children, I'm pretty skeptical or wary of permanent changes for children. Can't get tattoos. That's a tough one for me. I don't know exactly where I'm at on that. But, sir, yes.
We're coming into the Christmas season.
Yeah.
And I'm getting letters from friends and whatnot, their annual letter that they put out what they did this year and so forth. I'm wondering, how large are our contact lists? Not the political one, those you went to school with, members of your family that live across country. The people, I wonder, do you have, or have you thought about figuring or polling or figuring out what do they care about, and can you make a message that comes from you to them? They followed your history, they know your character, they know where you're the crazy uncle or not the crazy uncle, or whatever, they know you, right?
Yeah.
You should be able to have an honest conversation with those people. But what I think we do is we look for those Democrat, Republican, whatever silo you come out of. We keep talking to them people. I'm going to say, sit down and ask yourself, take your list, go down there, how does Mary stand on this issue? Does she have kids? Does she have housing? Does she have, or he, have these things? Direct a conversation between you and them. And I'm not putting this all on you, the politician. I'm saying everybody in the room ought to do it. You see, that's where I think you get around the media. Okay? Because what's happening, you keep paying them television stations and they keep working against you. They took that money, put it in their pocket, and do what they want to do with it. And it ain't in your best interest.
Yeah.
So that's what I'm saying. That don't cost them much money.
Yeah, I think part of the reason that I got, was open to do this and got selected after they came and talked to me is, I sit at the fire station kitchen table every day at work, and it's a mixed crowd as far as where they're at politically. And one of my best friends voted for Trump. I tried to talk him out of it, but he's the type of moderate conservative who was swayed by some cultural issues that I didn't feel like were that important given the actual issues that people are dealing with.
I didn't mean talk them out of it when you communicate with them. What I mean is, are they losing their hospital?
Right.
Yeah.
Are they losing, do they have that 20-year-old son that has no insurance? You know what I mean?
26.
20.
Yeah.
Yeah, to get those up to 26.
And that's why the affordability issue is a big issue for me. Me and my wife together, we make $150,000, $160,000 a year, right? Both have good union jobs, and we're just getting by, right? I even bought a house before the prices went up, so I have a pretty decent mortgage rate, but I got daycare. Daycare costs me as much as my mortgage.
Oh, yeah.
I've had a good union job for 14 years. I've had some time to build up some money, and I'm still, just getting by. I got a buddy who's with the Heavy Equipment Operators Union. He makes $100,000 a year, and he is scraping by. He has a wife that works part-time, he has 2 kids, $100,000 a year scraping him by. and then I see it at work. So I have listened to people, and I think all the way up to over $100,000 a year, people are struggling with the cost of living. That's the big problem I see. Is that cost of living problem based on who I've been talking to so far. Yeah.
Annually, approximately every year, 1,100 people are killed by police. There is no federal oversight on law enforcement and their investigations. Would you support a federal independent prosecutor or investigation team to look at officer-involved shootings or officer-involved deaths overall?
I think I would support that, the people looking at those incidents. I also give cops a lot of leeway. They have a tough job.
And just to let you know, I'm the Police Accountability Director for SCAR and the Washington Coalition Police Accountability Eastern Washington Representative.
Yeah.
And Executive Director for Citizen 926.
Yeah,
We can have a discussion.
I for sure think the accountability piece is important, but also we put cops in some pretty terrible situations, and so I think they're gonna get a little bit more leeway than a normal person on.
Yeah, but your organization is already doing something about that, rather than send out just a cop on a wellness check. You're working with firemen and.
Yeah, I think that's,
Because you gotta get the goddamn gun out of the scenario before you can help somebody. Sorry,
yeah.
I'm not on the accountability board, I don't have to answer.
No, but the police department has a similar program, the BHU program, Behavioral Health Unit program, where they have a mental health professional going out with cops to make some of these contacts. And I think that's fantastic. You know, I'm a fireman, I go into the same situations. If we think there's a gun there, then we call the cops first. We need police to, you know.
No doubt.
Chief Hall has made a big difference. Chief Hall has made a big difference in the year he's been in office.
Yes.
Yeah, we need them to enforce order, enforce the laws, and, you know, protect us when we need it. But they, you know, should be held accountable. I think the cops in Spokane are pretty good.
Okay.
Yeah.
They work really good with the No Kings crowd.
What's that?
And I think a lot of things in Spokane are really good. Washington's a great state to be in. We're insulated by Washington State from a lot of the worst outcomes of this administration. I'm insulated by a lot of the worst outcomes because I have a good job and I've had it for, you know, a number of years, and I live in Washington State. It's the rest of the country. I'd like the rest of the country to have some of the benefits and that I have here and that we have here.
Hi. I'm not a veteran, I'm sorry.
That's all right.
Anyways, and I'm nervous now, so I'm trying to remember what I just told you. I went to a SCAR meeting, Spokane County Against Racism, and when I was just gonna encourage you maybe to go to one of those meetings.
Yep.
Because when they put up the numbers for what happens with police and people that are not white, and you're looking at the percentages of what's going on with who's getting taken to jail and all of that, I think that you should do some research on that and look into that, because I used to say the same thing. I used to think that Spokane was very good and balanced, and we just didn't have the same problems as anywhere else, and then I got a little more educated, so I would look into that a little bit. Just to be more well-rounded in it.
Yeah, let me write that down real quick. And I'm open to talking to everybody, even Republicans. No Republicans want to talk to me. They're back in Baumgartner. You know,
Yeah.
it's the nature of the system.
Yeah.
But
I think it's time.
Is it Spokane County or Spokane Community?
Community.
Community,
Yeah.
SCAR.
Okay, I think I've got one more question here, and then we're gonna kind of wrap up his time. And, because we got a little bit of business that we wanna try and take care of too.
All right.
So, would you
Thanks.
please?
Yeah. Thank you for your work as a firefighter. I had a dear friend that was with Spokane Fire Department. Lost him years ago. Anyway, thanks for that. I had like 3, but I'm trying to pick. If we wanted to get into contact with your team for item messaging or whatever, have you might have done that in your intro. I came in late, so I want that. If we can get it. You'd mentioned talking to union halls. I'd wondered if you'd consider, you said your message doesn't do well with conservatives. Would you talk to churches? And then I guess my priority question would be, we're seeing the illegal, essentially kidnapping. We're seeing people taken off the streets without due process, held without charges, held without representation and access into what we can just assume are horrid conditions, including right here in our home state, over in the detention center over in Tacoma. That's a priority for me. I mean, I can't, as an individual, do much, but a group, anyway. I just wondered if you had any feelings about that, plans. If you were elected, what would you do in the face of our federal government just throwing the Constitution out the window in the case of all these unjustly incarcerated Americans?
So you had 3 points.
Let's maybe just focus on that one. But yeah, so contact information and in your messaging, talking to people, would you talk to faith organizations, churches?
Yeah, absolutely I would. And it's not that I don't think my message works well with conservatives. I don't think it works well with rich people. I think conservatives are struggling with the same problems that all of us are struggling with. The affordability crisis, the access to health care, government not following the rule of law. And I think that's a problem for conservatives the same way it is a problem for all of us here who are maybe a little more progressive, center of the road.
Let me ask this, did you sign in on our roster?
No, I haven't.
Okay, if you do that, then if you don't mind, we'll send it out to everyone.
Okay.
So that's, because I'd like for all of us to be able to call all these people at any time that we want and ask them questions and stuff that we didn't get answered here.
Or how to get in touch with your team.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that stuff is not set up yet.
Okay.
So the way it works is the FEC filing rules.
Yes.
Once you sign up for that stuff, you're actually running, and you have to follow all these FEC rules. And we only got our treasurer this week, and that is the person who kind of sets that up, makes sure you're following all the rules. So we haven't been able to set all that stuff up until next week, and we're going into the holidays, so we'll see. But he seems to be working pretty fast. I'm pretty impressed by him.
Well, just go ahead and give us an email or
Yeah.
a phone number for texting or something, so that we can get this information out to you guys.
And then, as far as the ICE kidnappings, yeah.
Specifically the detention centers. I mean, I can't imagine those conditions. I mean, I can, because we've had some insight from some letters written on people's behalf who are currently held in Tacoma. But yeah, I'm curious if you have any feelings about that or any plans to address these illegal detention centers.
I agree with you that they are, snatching people off the streets, not giving them their due process, snatching citizens right along with people who came into the country illegally.
Snatching them from the courts when they're going through the process.
They're taking the legal ones to immigrants too.
I don't know how I would be able to affect that because I'm not a politician, and I'm learning how to run, but I hopefully have some power to have some oversight. There needs to be accountability for those people the same way that we have accountability for regular city cops. We should have accountability for these federal cops. I think Congress could pass a bill that funds an organization to to have some oversight there.
Congress is the oversight mechanism.
Yeah.
Therefore, we just need to enforce what the hell we have.
Yeah, and I think that's the problem. I think it has come up as the problem a few times, is that Congress has been co-opted by Trump and his Republican Party, and are not working in our best interest. They're pushing party politics.
So could you see yourself, standing up, like, let's say you did get into Congress, and could you see yourself standing up and speaking to people on our behalf as Washingtonians and saying, this will not stand here, we're not gonna let this happen here, I'm gonna vote this down, I'm gonna fight this every step of the way, kind of, can you see yourself doing that?
I
Like
think,
being bulldogish?
yeah,
Think of me biting you on the rope.
yeah, so I'm a Marine.
Yeah.
I have MMA fights. I have a theory of violence that is more tactical. But that's the role, is standing up, having votes, being in back rooms, talking to people. That's where I feel like I'm most effective. I don't feel like I'm super effective standing up, yelling at people. I'm 5'4", right? I'm not an intimidating guy. But I know where leverage and power comes from. And my theory of violence, sometimes I call it, is, finding where I have actual leverage, which is probably gonna be talking to people and with that vote, right? The real power of a member of Congress is they have a vote, and they get to sit in those meetings and talk to people and convince them. And I probably won't make the headline news for fighting and yelling and making a big show, but I'm running to be the voice of Eastern Washington.
So if we were putting in a whole bunch of calls to your office, you're going to respond according to the calls you're getting and
That's right. Yeah, I'm.
vote your conscience.
Yeah, and I think that's part of the reason that I'm in this independent lane, is because I don't want to have some party telling me what to do. I grew up in Spokane. I'm very Eastern Washington. I spent 6 years in Arizona, and I've been here ever since. I think we need a member of Congress. Congress is supposed to be the voice closest to the people. That's why it's a 2-year term. That's why half of your work is back in town. Our current member is not a voice for Eastern Washington. It's a voice for the Republican Party. And that's not who I would be.
Well, that's good. We really appreciate you being able to come and talk to us so candidly and so freely. And we really appreciate it. And if I were well, I'd shake your hand.
No problem.